Hello, I'm Eric Matisik, co-chair of Denver Startup Week. Last year, we were able to bring the global audience together for Denver Startup Week, and this year, we're excited to welcome that global audience back as we celebrate and showcase the best of entrepreneurship that the Denver ecosystem in Colorado has to offer, in Denver and beyond. There are lots to explore this week, but most importantly, we're excited that you're joining us. We have nearly 50 sponsor companies who contribute to make Denver Startup Week possible. Let's show our love for these companies today and all week long. Thanks to our headquarters and title sponsor, Amazon, and our title sponsors whose leadership makes this week come to life, Capital One Cafe, the Downtown Denver Partnership, Fluid Truck, Hotel Engine, and WeWork, and our track sponsors who've made all the great content you're hearing today possible, which includes our founder track sponsor, Kickstart, our growth track sponsor, Friday Health Plans, developer track sponsor, Quizlet, product track sponsor, Palantir, design track sponsor, Battery 621 and the Public Works, people track sponsor, Exactly, and the spotlight event sponsor, Strat Labs. Our headline event sponsors are bringing this excitement to the entire week. Thank you to B-Side Fund, Colorado Public Radio, Comcast, Coors Brewing Company, Denver Pavilions, Entrepreneurship at the University of Denver, Gusto, JP Morgan Chase, Method, Moss Adams, Pi Insurance, Promontory Mortgage Path, Red Bull Basement, Southwest, Tattered Cover, and the VF Venture Foundry. Finally, thank you to our sponsors and member sponsors who are listed on the screen, and thank you for your support of Denver Startup Week. Now, let's get to it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Denver Startup Week. I am Michael Ostro, and I'm the Maker Track Chair, as well as a member of the Denver Startup Week Organizing Committee. Thank you so much for joining Denver Startup Week for our 10th anniversary. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a place where attendees can connect, learn, and grow, and that is regardless of age, gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, or sexual orientation. A special thank you goes out to our sponsors for their support and helping us make Denver Startup Week free for everyone and accessible to all. And I also want to thank Agora.io. They are the MakerTrack sponsor, so thank you, Agora, for making this happen. And thank you. Special thank you goes out to our sponsors. Enjoy Denver Startup Week and make the most out of it.
I think we're good.
All
Hi,
right.
everybody.
Yeah, hi. Welcome to our Denver Startup Week panel conversation. I'm Austin Adamson, co-owner, co-founder, and distiller at Ballmer Peak Distillery, and I'll let Ivy do a quick introduction for her.
Hi, my name is Ivy Pham. I'm also one of the co-owners over at Kickn Chicken.
Yeah, we're two Lakewood businesses that kind of launched up right at the beginning of the pandemic, and so we thought it would be fun to kind of share some of those experiences, and maybe what we've learned and what we kind of how we grew during some really confusing and uncertain times. I think everyone knows that it's probably pretty scary to start a business uh, in good times, let alone kind of really uncertain and ever changing, like by the week times. So yeah, we just want to share some of those experiences. So I'll go first, and then let Ivy talk a little bit more about her experience. But yeah, we at Ballmer Peak Distillery, we're two owners, myself and Eric Strom, and we opened our doors officially in end of November 2019. So at that time, it was just myself and Eric doing all of the work, slowly kind of building into what we wanted, the methods that we wanted to put in place, and the production schedule, figuring out the tasting room. So we basically divvied up the work into two roles, production and tasting room. Eric handled the tasting room, I handled production, and then of course we shared hats for everything else. But we were just getting in the groove of things. As a slow ramp up with a smaller business, we were trying to pace ourselves, get a hang of things, and then start hiring employees and kind of hit the ground running with distribution. And we started doing that right when we felt comfortable, at the end of February in 2020. That's really when we had this momentum. The tasting room was breaking records kind of on a weekly basis. And we were starting our rollout of our distribution, self-distributing our products, our spirits to liquor stores, but predominantly we wanted to focus on restaurants and bars. Then early March of 2020 is kind of when things went sideways for everyone. The things that saved us right at the beginning were focusing on cities that had a better, or they were being in new enforcements were going into place, pandemic prevention and lockdowns in cities other than Denver first. And we were looking to those cities to figure out what businesses like us were doing. And the big thing that distilleries could do was hand sanitizer. So that was kind of our first big pivot. We knew we were going to have to close the tasting room, and that's where 90% of all of our revenue was coming from. So we figured if we could get people in the door to get hand sanitizer, maybe they could buy a bottle, or they could remember us when they come back, or leave a donation, say thanks. So our first goal, right after the lockdown hit, when restaurants and bars had to close, which our tasting room had to close, we focused on getting the formula for our hand sanitizer, and then going through the process to make sure that we were in compliance legally, because the last thing we wanted to do was risk this new venture of hand sanitizer making and then have that kind of bite us in the butt later, as far as doing something incorrectly or breaking the law. And so once we got the green lit from our regulatory body, we set out to make as much hand sanitizer as we could. And while all my friends and family were figuring out how to use Zoom and commuting less and working a little differently, I was going into the production room to work 16-hour days to make hand sanitizer. And then once we had the hand sanitizer process down, we reached out to all of the local media and posted on our socials to let people know that we were giving away hand sanitizer for free, for no cost to them. And that really saved us. And I think part of what else also saved us was having no plan or guidebook that had instructions on what there was to do in case of this type of emergency. A lot of companies that we saw that kind of dug their heels in decided that they were going to try and wait things out, or kind of it was a sink or swim moment for us, and we had no option other than to sink. Like, this is what we've been building up for the business plan of 5 years in the making, and we didn't want to. I mean, we didn't have any other choice other than to pivot and move constantly. So after the hand sanitizer thing, you know, we looked towards the city to see what kind of help they were putting into place, and the economic development team reached out to us and offered some guidance as far as temporary outdoor seating and all this stuff that we hadn't really prepared. You know, we wanted a patio one day, but, you know, hadn't really thought about it. So just the constant week to week pivoting of cocktails to go that were made legal at the state level, temporary outdoor seating, and then collaborating with local businesses as far as providing them with hand sanitizer, either for free or at cost, and trying to cross-pollinate our communities and audiences. And that, I mean, that kind of covers the first few months of the pandemic. And really, we saw the community respond in full, as far as once they knew we were there, they knew that we were a place for hand sanitizer, there was kind of no shortage of people showing up, asking for hand sanitizer, and continuing to show up for the next several months, which we would thought would be the hardest months of our business, actually turned up to be pretty beneficial to us as far as growth, getting our name out there and selling product. We couldn't keep hand sanitizer available. We couldn't keep drinking alcohol available either. It was a very strange time, to say it lightly. But yeah, and then 2021 has kind of continued to be just as crazy as 2020. I'm sure Ivy will go into it as well, but the production supply chain issues have just been really disruptive to everything. And so some of the stuff that again, our strengths lie in not having these 30 years of business experience saying this is how it's always worked, this is how it's going to be done. You know, looking at the way lean manufacturing works, and where you want to keep hardly any products in your warehouse, that just doesn't work when the lead time is anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 months. So for us specifically, glass bottles have been a challenge. So we knew that storage was going to be a challenge in 2021. So we shifted to a pallet rack system to increase our use of vertical space in our production facility, and kind of go from there as far as using our every nook and cranny of our space for products that we weren't sure if we were going to get them in the next 6 months again. Again, specifically glass bottles, raw materials, and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of the basics of how we launched. Ivy's, I got a bunch to say, kind of similarly, but also different, being in a little more food focused industry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ivy Pham. I'm one of the co-owners over at Kickn Chicken, along with my brother, John Pham. So we're just kind of a local family-owned restaurant that specializes in fast casual fried chicken. Our menu has different influences from all over the world. So I started planning our project back in November of 2019 with the expected launch date of April 2020. Obviously, that did not happen because of pandemic, and construction ultimately came to a halted stop, just due to closure, everything like that. And it was just really stressful because, you know, rent's coming up and we have no money to pay for overhead. And that was just really stressful because I also quit my job in preparation to open for the restaurant. So not only was the restaurant hindering on a line, so was my personal life. You know, I'm living off of my savings. So it was just really stressful. And it was also kind of more stress because I have families and friends calling me every day, just like, oh my God, did you see the news? Did you see what's happening? It's like, yes, I know what's happening. You don't need to tell me, I already know. Everyone's always like, hey, like just pull out now. Like you need to pull out while you can. But what a lot of people didn't know was I was so deeply already invested in this project. Like I risk losing everything either way, whether we open and I close or I stop now. Like, as either way, I'm gonna risk losing everything. And I guess for me, I just really wanted to try. I think that for me, if I risk losing everything, I risk trying my hardest and then walking away versus just not even trying at all. So that was always something that I was going for. And being kind of in this restaurant industry for 15 years, and seeing everyone get hit so hard, you see these major players that have been in the food scene for 20, 30 years, closing their doors, shuttering their doors. It's really intimidating, especially when I'm just like the small fried chicken restaurant that's about to open. It was really stressful. So we finally opened in July of 2020, way behind deadline. And that was another set of challenges we started to face. We were not allowed to do dine-in. So we really had to change our business model, especially when our business model originally was for dine-in. One of the things that we had to adjust was the layout of our restaurant. For example, we had to move all the tables from the front and not even have tables to make sure that there was enough easy flow for takeout, in and out, flow, make that easier for everyone and our customers. And kind of like what Austin said, is just trying to adjust to the new regulations that it felt was changing almost on the daily, and trying to keep up with that. It's just like, oh, can we do this? Can we not do this? And making sure that how do we have the most ample amount of business, yet still trying to make sure that our community is safe and following those rules and regulations properly. So that was really challenging in itself. And then also, once again, kind of what Austin touched base on is supporting businesses nearby. Me and Austin's businesses were pretty close in proximity, not even like 2 blocks from each other. So every time customers would come in, I'll be like, hey, listen, we have a distillery down the street, just bring our food, go over to them. And, vice versa, they would tell us that their customers to come check out our restaurant. So really, once again, leveraging that sense of community with other businesses surrounding us to make sure that we all survive during these really unprecedented times, for sure. We were also really fortunate because we were able to connect with many people in the city of Lakewood, such as like Laura and Katie, that extended the communication with us on the regular basis. Be like, hey, like, how are you guys doing? Like, these are the new programs the city of Lakewood is coming out with. And just really connecting and knowing those resources also helped us through those difficult times as well. One thing that we also leveraged was social media. That was such a big driving force for us, especially since it's a free platform, and be able to reach such a large audience in like a quick second. That was able to help us through with sales, all that, bring in new customers, new faces, was just through social media, since we're able to not connect regularly outside of that. And word of mouth as well, having friends or family refer new customers to us, that was also really nice and a driving force as well. So, with being open for a little over a year, we now have over 4,000 followers on Instagrams. We are at a 4.8 star rating on Google reviews and 5.0 with 260 reviews on Yelp. So kind of like what Austin said, it was really interesting because we're battling with those challenges. Yet it was also almost like a blessing in disguise because the community really gathered and helped support us too as well. But also we're still facing the challenges at the aftermath of pandemic. At first we're like, oh man, we're like cockroaches. We survived the pandemic, so we'll survive anything. But now we're still like dealing with the aftermath too, such as, rise in food costs. When we first opened, chicken was around $1.28 a pound. It's almost $3 a pound now, so triple the food cost. So inventory, that's something that we're dealing with. Overhead, supply chain, kind of like what Austin said, like you can't find to-go containers, to-go boxes, there's lead times, and you're just kind of having to paste things you can find together to make sure that you have enough supply. And I think the biggest thing that I think all industry across the board is facing is labor shortage right now. We're short cooks, we're short front of the house, and my guys are working as hard as can. I'm working 12 plus hour a day, 7 days a week, and it's really challenging, but it's just something we have to do to try to kind of overcome this hump as well. I think one of the big 3 advices that I would give, up and coming new businesses is being involved in your community and learning what community resources that you have. I think a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of different programs, a lot of different people you can connect with, especially during these harder times that can help you through it. Leveraging social media, that's like I said, being able to reach a vast audience quickly, and multiple times, that's a great resource as well. And then just really adapting to changing environment. It's either you kind of sink or swim, like what Austin said, and we really had to choose to swim and make sure that we were able to navigate through these waters for sure. So advice from Kickn Chicken. So that is it on my end. Does anyone have any questions or comments for us?
Oh yeah, we've got a comment here that says we both opened during the hardest part, hopefully, of the pandemic. How's business now? It's growing quite a bit, at least for us. And I know Kickn Chicken is always busy, but yeah, just the community has supported us greater than we could imagine. I think those first months were definitely very scary, and now we're looking at challenges that are, like people say, it's a good problem to have. Are these growing pains as far as looking to grow now, and the staffing shortages. Like, I think having no staff saved us at the beginning when it was I know Ivy and her brother did a lot of the work themselves those early months, those late hours, and then Eric and I were the exact same way, and not having to have a team where you can't provide stable work, I think was really a benefit. Not having to not having employees you needed to support, and we want to support our employees. So we kind of, that saved us at the beginning, but now we're looking at how do we grow, how do we scale, and the challenges that are presenting themselves with those kind of growing pains. Yeah, Ivy, you spoke to your business's success or how things are going now. How do you feel about how things are now, and where do you see you guys in the future as far as growth goes?
Yeah, so I mean, we're actually busier than I actually anticipated. We're very fortunate because there's a lot of nights we'll sell out completely and have to close early. So it's definitely a good problem to have. But kind of exactly what you said, trying to adjust to those growing pains and really figuring out how do we elevate ourselves to that next level, next step, and be able to kind of expand in a responsible way, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And like, there's still new challenges every day. The employee shortage, kind of relates to this question. What are the top reasons employees not coming back for work? I think all we can really do is speculate, and kind of share information that we've received anecdotally. I know for us, a lot of people wanted career changes. They've been in the hospitality industry for a long time, and the pandemic was kind of that maybe that kick in the pants, that inspiration, that time at home to focus on their actual passions. Maybe they aren't as interested in making cocktails or cooking or creating dishes to share with people as they thought, or things weren't going how they wanted. So they said, hey, I really like these other things. I'm going to go back to educating myself, or getting professional training on a certain thing and growing and changing my career path. Whereas I think some people were just maybe unsure that it was going to last as long as it did, or as it has. And it's expensive to try and manage everything on top of, if you're not even ensured that your employer is going to treat you well. I think the hospitality industry has a kind of a justifiably bad image, because there's on both sides, the employers and the employees, they don't treat themselves like they should, or they don't treat each other as they want to be treated, kind of a thing. And I think we're doing going through the steps to try and change that, to pay people a living wage, and to give them time off, and kind of share the positivity that we're receiving. If we're growing, you're growing with us, kind of a thing. There's room to grow, there's positions to take, like our employees are all encouraged to try distilling, to move into sales or liquor distribution, kind of that sort of side. Ivy, what do you have any other reasons people might not be coming back to work?
I don't know. I think that's just a really interesting mystery to me. I think at first I thought it was just going to be, you know, like the service industry, like you said, but after talking to a lot of my friends who are in different parts of it, like, you know, pharmaceuticals, even banking, like there's just a shortage throughout. So I really don't know. I think maybe it's just the pandemic and people are still iffy and a little worried about getting back. Like I said, the only thing we can really be hopeful for is that these next couple of months, everything will hopefully regulate and everything kind of get back together. As another question here, as part of your business plan, are you preparing for another pandemic-like event? Well, let me tell you, we did not have a plan for the pandemic, but now we do. We had to really write an SOP for this as long as we were going. So if another pandemic hit, we are prepared.
Yeah, I think you know, we should write it all down and maybe make it available for other people more so, because I think Ivy, you and I have the kind of work ethic and the mentality to solve these puzzles as they're thrown at us in real time, and I don't know that everyone has that kind of real-time puzzle solving or drive to rise above the challenges. So I think, yeah, maybe writing this all down and not necessarily planning for another pandemic like event, but just kind of those big picture creative thinking and problem solving has definitely strengthened us. So I think, yeah, having a plan or the tools and resources that we've gained from this experience will very much help us overcome challenges in the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely no plan, but I think the biggest thing that I think why a lot of businesses were either not only to survive, but a lot were to thrive was how involved the business owners were throughout the whole process. You know, like Austin, like me, we were working those extra hours to make sure like I did everything from like cooking, serving, you know, cleaning toilets, whatever needed to be done was done. And I think that kind of shows really the guts that it needed to take to kind of make it through the pandemic for sure. So, well, any last questions? I know we're coming up here in 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Okay.
Let's see. I had another. What did I had something written down here. Yeah, where do you see the future of Kickn Chicken?
We're looking for our second location, and like I always talk about with you, I think it'd be a really cool collaboration if we do like a distillery Kickn Chicken combination. Something that Colorado loves is patios, you know, good food and drinks. So I think that'd be something really fun in the future we can do. So what about you and your distillery?
Yeah, 2020, like it's such a crazy blur, but the growth that we're able to gain from, you know, the last 18 months, almost 2 years, we're definitely, you know, thriving and looking to expand with all of the, even in spite of all the challenges and hurdles that have been put in front of us, and we're optimistic, you know, like I think we can say this to all business owners that started up during the pandemic. Like if you survive this, you can survive anything, right? So the things that would have to happen to stop us now, I think, would be literally world ending, you know, like
Zombie apocalypse or something. You know?
Yeah, like the dollar bill would have to stop working, and there would be bigger problems than trying to start a business, and instead it would be trying to feed yourself and your family with actual growing of food. So yeah, if there's no further questions, yeah, you can always reach out to us directly on social media, or just come say hi, and if there's specific questions or ideas, or you just want to, you know, have something to drink or have something to eat, just come visit us. We're in Lakewood. There's a lot of cool businesses opening up in Lakewood. Not just chain restaurants. So come say hi and explore just west of Denver.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.